This year's E3 has finally wrapped up as of the latest Nintendo Direct, and overall, I'd say it was a pretty solid one. It's funny how the typical E3 tends to have a lot of peaks and valleys. They often have some very obvious standouts, or they have missteps and truly cringeworthy moments destined to go down in gaming history for the wrong reasons. Certain companies, however, seem to be learning from past mistakes in terms of their presentation, looking at you, Ubisoft. And while the amount of true bombshells did seem smaller than usual, certainly due in large part to an emphasis on already announced titles, we still got a lot of good looks at previously teased titles, and some good surprises, including some long overdue ones. But all that put together, what do I think were the true standouts of this E3? I put together my top 5 favorite games and announcements that got showcased this year, and along with some honorable mentions. Insomniac is a developer I've loved since their early days, due mainly to their awesome work on the original Spyro trilogy and almost every Ratchet & Clank game. Hell, they even made my favorite Xbox One exclusive with Sunset Overdrive a while back. That game had a really fun emphasis on over-the-top and vehicle-free open-world exploration, and when they briefly revealed last year they were making a PS4 SpiderMan game, it felt like a natural fit. Sony ended their conference this year with the first genuine gameplay footage, and the game continues to look promising in my eyes. Very graphically impressive New York City, a real slick-looking chase set piece through the city skylines, and a pretty good-looking combat system. They definitely seem to be cribbing both melee and stealth elements from the Arkham games, but still with some Spidey flair thrown in, especially since web slinging looks like it's being incorporated into nearly every aspect. Why this still ranks the lowest of this top 5 is for multiple reasons. 1, the game's existence isn't a shock anymore. 2, we still don't know what the open world component will be like outside of primary missions. And 3, the combat, while fun looking, felt to me like it could use some speeding up, both to better fit the gameplay and to the Spidey license in general. He's an energetic character. Regardless, as a fan of the license and the developer, and knowing that this isn't being bogged down by being forced to release a certain time, like alongside Homecoming, I'm hyped to see how the final product turns out, and hopefully they can give Miles Morales more than just a brief cameo here. We'll see. While Microsoft's increasing lack of big exclusives and insistence on Xbox to PC parity is causing me to lose interest in Xbox One as a whole, and while their AAA exclusives this year like Sea of Thieves and the Darwin Project failed to personally pique my interest, they definitely put more of a focus on promising looking indie games this year, and I saw a lot of stuff that looks very promising. As a big fan of the imagination and heart those kinds of games can bring, more than a few left me curious to see more. The Last Night looks super stylish and gritty. Super Lucky Tale looks like a cute throwback, or he's getting a sequel. The Artful Escape looks visually tremendous. And Cuphead, we're finally getting Cuphead in a few months, thank God. The law of averages means that it's likely not all these games will turn out stellar, but like I said, there was a really healthy amount of imagination and variety in these titles, all being showcased by one of the last companies that expect to do that sort of thing, so good on you, Microsoft. Now be honest, did anybody really expect something like this to happen at this point in time? I personally don't find Metroid Other M to be one of the biggest sins in gaming like most of the internet. I thought it was okay. But even so, Nintendo's decision to ice the series afterward just because of one poorly received game was baffling and more than a bit frustrating as the years without a new Samus-centric game piled up. Nobody was asking for Federation Force, I'm aware. And yet, just like how Nintendo revived the series years after Super Metroid with a Prime game and a handheld side-scroller, history repeats itself. Truthfully, there's not as much to say here since Samus Returns is a remake of a game I still haven't played, and we know nothing about Prime 4 at all, other than Retro is no longer the developer and it'll be on the Switch. But it was certainly a good way for Nintendo to win back some goodwill from jaded Metroid diehards. Welcome back, Miss Aron. I think the stage rep summed it up perfectly.
About bloody time.
Developer Michel Ancel's biggest passion project was beloved by those who played it back in 2003, but it failed to sell well at all, resulting in its cliffhanger ending going unresolved and fans left wanting for years. Though Ancel repeatedly stated his desire to continue the franchise. Some teasers for a sequel finally came out back around 2008, but things went quiet again afterward, at least until Ancel finally confirmed development had started back up and posted some concept art on his Instagram earlier this year. Because of this, seeing Beyond Good and Evil 2 finally get a formal announcement at E3 wasn't as big a shocker as it could have been, but what truly made this announcement special for me, besides, concrete proof of the game, was when Ancel came on stage after a really cool promo trailer ended, and this happened. I am a huge admirer of this guy, though I stand by the original Beyond Good and Evil having some clunky parts thanks to an over-reliance on stealth in its middle portion. The opening and closing thirds are really terrific, and I also hold Ancel's other crown jewel, the Rayman series, really close to my heart as a platformer fan. They're wonderful. It's also been well known that despite Beyond Good and Evil underperforming its original release, it and its story mean the world to Ancel. It is his baby, and he has held on to the dream of getting Ubisoft to let him make a follow-up for over a decade, which is incredible. That's seeing it happen and seeing him get emotional over it is heartwarming. It's inspirational, and I will admit I was a little bummed out to discover that it will be a prequel instead of continuing Jade and Paige's journey, but the creative, endearing world of the original Beyond Good and Evil was one of its biggest strengths, and some of the characters, like the monkey character, looks like they could be a lot of fun. If Ancel and Ubisoft recapture that great vibe of the original, along with the great sounding ambitions they've already been discussing for the title, and taking full advantage of modern gaming hardware and budget, I think we could really be in for something truly special. I will be keeping tabs on this one for sure. Real quick, let's get some honorable mentions out of the way. The new footage for Detroit, Days Gone, and God of War all looked pretty solid. I'm especially excited for Detroit since it seems like it'll be going back to Heavy Rain's genuine branching paths and plot, compared to Beyond's more limited scope. And while I wasn't interested for Days Gone at all, looking at some components like how you'll actually be able to use the zombie horse to your advantage, that's pretty interesting. Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle is not only one of the most unlikely crossovers imaginable, but also the last game I'd expect to take an XCOM approach to gameplay, and it looks to have a lot of personality and even depth to it. I'm interested. Shadow of the Colossus getting a full remake was both a nice surprise and means a good excuse to revisit that gem of a game, though the PS3 remaster didn't feel that long ago. Though it was a smaller announcement, I'm honestly really happy to see the Xbox avatars being brought back. I have good memories of them and stuff like those 360 poker games, and the almost movie-like new art style created in Unity makes me wonder what the new possibilities could be, assuming developers choose to actually do something with them. Also, Dragon Ball FighterZ, because those graphics, oh my god, do you see this? It looks like this show, I need it now. Anyway. So how can a game that's already been revealed still snag my #1 spot at E3? When you get a trailer and info dump as phenomenal as Super Mario Odyssey. Here I was already excited about it after that January announcement where we thought the hook was going to be that it was taking the series environments in some wild new directions. And then Nintendo steps in and says, oh, you thought that was the big hook? Here, check this out. Turns out that Possession of all things is the new name of the game here thanks to Mario's new sidekick Cappy, and when the trailer's second half started showcasing that huge variety of forms Mario will be able to take, I experienced one of the most unbridled feelings of joy E3 has ever given me. Like, big smile on my face, just loving what I was seeing. And even in the actual gameplay streams later during the Nintendo Treehouse streams, they were showing all these and discussing all these encouraging factors, like a genuine sandbox approach to levels with dozens of moons, the star equivalents to collect in each level, so there's always stuff to find. The fact that coins and specific items can now be used like as in-game currency. You can get like different outfits and customize Mario's appearance and maybe abilities, and stuff like the reappearance of Pauline and costumes that are like Easter eggs going all the way back to Mario's first games, even really obscure stuff. It's all just seal and deal even more. I love Mario with all my heart, but I've been waiting for the series to truly astonish me again, like the first Galaxy did almost exactly a decade ago. The new Super Mario Bros. Games and 3D World were certainly fun, but they definitely felt like they were playing it safe and not showing us much new. But Odyssey truly looks like the game that I've been wanting, that's about to take the series to a new level of creativity and fun once again. And it's coming out in October. That's unbelievable. How often is it that you just get a game teased like 3 years before it comes out? And here, Nintendo only unveiled at the beginning of this year, but they've been quietly working on it for ages, and we're getting it real soon. We don't have to wait long for, honestly, I think this could easily surpass Breath of the Wild for my favorite Nintendo game this year. Maybe game overall, because Galaxy was like maybe my favorite game of the decade. That remains to be seen, but the game looks wonderful. And it's very fitting that it closed the E3 presentations. It really was a case for me of saving the best for last. Can't wait. So yeah, overall, a pretty decent E3. Like I said, not big on surprises, but not too big on huge disappointments. But now that we're done talking about the future, maybe I should talk about the present. Yeah, I think that would be a good time to start doing some reviews. Hang on, wait, where's that? Gotta take the cap off my webcam, and there we go. Alright, hey guys. So let's get a proper review started with this. Or maybe with it'd be easier to do this. Seriously, I've played Mass Effect for 40 hours. It's still going.